the Israeli army tricked Palestinian militants in Jenin and then struck them from the air more than 10 times. Iran is in Judea and Samaria, but how exactly? Here's everything you need to know. Jenin used to be another boring Palestinian city, but in recent years it has become a terror hub, with more than 50 terror attacks coming from that very city in this year alone, and more than 19 Palestinian terrorists running to hide in this city after carrying out attacks against Israelis. Israeli intelligence also learned that there were rocket and missile factories in that city, and you can imagine what they plan to do with them. The last thing that Israel wants for Judea and Samaria is to become a second Gaza. So Israel said, enough is enough. The heads of the Israeli military were planning very carefully for more than a year an operation with the aim of stopping the Jenin brigade of Palestinian terrorists. Quickly before we continue, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It helps me a lot to keep spreading the truth and the reality that the mainstream media is trying to overshadow. The city of Jenin is very tricky because it is a center for both Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and Fatah. And all of them are trying to dominate the war against Israel by using, of course, political terror in some way or another. If you notice, after every terror attack against Israelis, the Palestinian terror organizations are arguing over who claims responsibility for that. Hamas, Islamic Jihad, the Nablus Brigade, the Jenin Brigade. When word got out that Israel is launching this operation, Palestinian militants placed many IEDs on roads and metal obstacles and waited to trap Israeli ground troops under massive fire. That was their ideal goal. However, that's exactly what Israel wanted them to think. And while they were waiting for the Israeli troops, Israeli UAVs struck them from the air and eliminated at least 10 terrorists. And now, after the airstrikes, large forces have entered Jenin and there are around 1,000 troops there right now. Please keep them in your prayers. Israel said that this operation will continue for as long as needed. But the mainstream media and Palestinian journalists are already pushing lies and are saying, well, the Israelis are entering our cities, so of course they should expect massive fire on them because we only defend ourselves against intruders. While this argument may sound rightful, the truth is that if the troops would have not entered Jenin to operate against these terrorists, we would find these terrorists in our cities sooner or later. Just to give you an example, this is what the forces found during their operation: a stash of bombs and IEDs in a secret apartment in Jenin. Just imagine how many lives were saved today thanks to this operation. Just imagine if one of these bombs would have made its way to Tel Aviv or any other Israeli city. The Palestinian media loves to show the aftermath of the conflict, which of course shows the defeat of Palestinian terrorists because Israel is much stronger than them. And they play the victim card of, oh, look how terrible the Israelis are, invading Palestinian neighborhoods like that, shooting like it's the Wild West, and whining about everything basically. But they don't like to show what led to that and how Palestinian terrorists are shooting live bullets at Israeli soldiers from within houses, neighborhoods, near mosques, and whatnot. And you would be surprised, but the majority of Palestinian people actually support silently the Israeli forces. Because you think that they want to live among terrorists who don't care one bit about them, but only focus on terrorizing Israel? Their lives are a living hell next to these terrorists. So they are grateful that at least the Israelis initiated this operation. Palestinian civilians know that they are not the target. In fact, most of them want an Israeli rule rather than a corrupt Palestinian one. Back in 2021, a poll by Palestine News among Arab residents in East Jerusalem found that 93% of them would rather live under Israeli rule. They know that Israel is not their enemy. Iran has been influencing Judea and Samaria, and that's not news for Israeli generals. Iran's proxy, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which is both in Gaza and in Judea and Samaria, has been recruiting more militants and established several armed cells in Palestinian cities throughout Judea and Samaria. The money for that is Iranian, of course. The Iranian regime's main goal is to destabilize Israel so that they can attack Israel from outside using its proxies in Lebanon and Syria, which are on our northern borders, while Israel is already busy being destabilized internally with the Palestinians. That is why we have been seeing a lot of reported Israeli activity on the northern border, striking Iranian-backed militias in Syria, pushing the Iranian regime back to its border, where it belongs. And the reason why we don't hear too much condemnation from Israel's Arab peace partners is that they know Israel's battle is the right one. And they know all about Palestinian propaganda that tries to sow seeds of lies and hate. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel to stay up to date on the dramatic events that are unfolding in our times.